Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Govs on the Go Alumni Edition, a podcast featuring alumni from the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. My name is Dr. Buzz Hoon. I'm the Dean of the College. I'm also the host of the podcast, and today I have a very special guest, Dr. Mike Gotcher, who graduated back in 1980. Dr. Gotcher, so great to have you on the podcast.
Happy to be here. I really am.
Well, you are a very special guest to me. You are both an alumnus of the university and a key member as a faculty member, also an administrator for our college. We'll get into all the details of that as we explore the episode in a few moments, but let's give everybody a life update. Tell us where you are, what's going on.
Well, right now, I serve as the Dean of the College of Interdisciplinary Studies at Tennessee Tech. And I love this job. My college has 4 different programs in it: communication, environmental studies, interdisciplinary studies, and professional studies. And I will say that the foundation that was provided to me from Austin Peay has helped me be successful in this job and in the other jobs that I've had. But right now, I'm starting my 8th year as Dean of the College of Interdisciplinary Studies.
Wow. And you still have such an impact. In fact, many of the people in the communication department were hired by you. So I'm going to say thank you ahead of time here for getting those folks lined up, including our current chair, Dr. Rob Barron. So thank you for all those people.
When I was there at Austin Peay as chair, one day I looked around that table and I saw how many of those people I had served on that hiring committee, and I was just it filled me with joy, and it was just such an honor to work with those and to be able to bring them to Austin Peay.
Okay, well, we're gonna get into that as we continue our conversation, but let's go all the way back. I like to start at the beginning, and you mentioned to me that you grew up in West Texas, and you went to, I think, a wonderful junior high. It was.
Yes, I grew up in West Texas. Grew up in the Odessa Midland area.
Okay.
So if you watch Friday Night Lights, okay,
sure.
that's where I was, right there in that area. And I went to junior high school at Davy Crockett Junior High. And it was a great experience. It was an interesting experience. I actually think I had a coonskin cap. I actually wore it to school one day there at Davy Crockett Junior High School. I think they made me take it off, but I did have it at that time. When I got into high school, my parents decided that they didn't want to live in West Texas anymore. It was too hot. It was too dry. There were no trees. And my mom was originally from Tennessee, so we moved back to Tennessee when I was in high school.
Oh.
And so really Tennessee is my home.
Okay. Well, before you moved, though, you had an experience that you related to me, which I think is really cool. You said you were in the choir, and you weren't sure why you were in the choir, but you were in the choir. I think I was in the choir because I could carry some of the platforms that needed to be carried for our performances. I don't think I was in the choir because of the voice that I had. Okay.
But we were at the state competition. We were in the finals for our junior high, maybe about a high school choir. And we were at a school, and the library, the walls were glass all the way around it, and they were trophy cases. And I walked around that trophy case, and I saw a trophy. It was a debate trophy. And I told myself, I would like to win one of those one day. And I managed to win a few of those. Yeah, I did. Won a few in high school, but college, we had a very successful 4 years when I was there at Austin Peay. on the debate team. And then I went on to be the debate coach at the University of Florida, at the University of Miami, at Austin P, and at LSU.
So
So
you had the interest in the desire, but and obviously you had the courage and determination, but did you know you were going to be good at that?
Uh, my dad and mom thought I was very good about arguing. So I guess that was the foundation that
Okay.
I had. They established the foundation. And I will say, when I was in high school, they heard my speeches hundreds of times as I would rehearse them and prepare. Now I didn't know how it'd be, but I learned the skills at Greenbrier High School. It's where I went to high school. Graduated from Greenbrier in 1976, and I was on the debate team there, and I learned how to do research. I learned how to speak in front of others. I learned how to analyze arguments, and so that gave me that foundation. So,
Even though you were so good at that and obviously showing your skills to other people, you came very close to not coming to Austin P. We were so fortunate. Can you share the story how we found you?
yes, I had been accepted into the Air Force Academy. I had received a nomination from Senator Bill Brock, which is, you have to get that from a state senator, had a nomination to go. And then as we were going through the final testing, my eyes
Oh,
failed me. Okay. I think my eyesight was 2200 without corrective vision. So they were not going to let me be a pilot. They said I could be a navigator, but I was a little concerned about my math skills for navigation, and had an opportunity to go to NYU. I had a scholarship to go to NYU, but I'd attended a debate tournament at Austin P, and Dr. Joe Filippo
yay.
talked with me and said, you ought to think about coming to Austin P. And he offered me a scholarship, and I came to Austin P. And it changed my life. Would have gone a different trajectory if I'd have
Yes.
gone down, whether I'd gone to NYU or gone to a military university or college. But it was a great thing for me. Austin P was really, really good for me. And when I say that Joe Filippo offered me a scholarship, let me say that scholarship was $75 a quarter. Okay. That's what the scholarship was. Now, when I became a senior, it went up to $125 a quarter.
Well,
It,
I'm
it only cost us me $75 to get me to go. Okay, for that first quarter.
well, it was a different time, wasn't it?
It was a different time. It certainly was.
But
But it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. Austin P was very good for me.
and I'm so glad that, Joe Filippo was your contact point because Joe is such a legend around here and has impacted so many other people. But the fact that he had the opportunity to help set your directory in our direction, wow. I mean, another reason why he's a legend.
Oh yes, he shaped me. He did. Such a great mentor. And I've told Joe, because I mean, he and Inga were the godparents to our first daughter, Jessie. But I told Joe, I said, Joe, it doesn't matter what the conversation is, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. Anytime someone has a conversation with you, they leave better.
Yes.
They leave feeling better about whatever the problem was, and a better outlook on life. I mean, that's what he brings to an environment, and that's what he brought into my life.
So you come to Austin P. I'm sure as you said, you're involved with debate. Were there other things that kept you busy?
Oh yes, when we had a debate scholarship there, my responsibility was debate, but we had to work on every play. Okay, I was also responsible to be I had box office. I did box office for all the
Okay.
plays at Austin Peay. And then we had to build sets, and then we had to take down sets. And in the process of working with theater, I met the love of my life, Sarah Gotcher. Her name was not Gotcher at that time. It was Sarah Hemrick, and she was on stage and she acted, and we got to know each other, and we got married. And we got married when I had just graduated. Graduated in, I guess, May 1980, and we got married in December 1980.
And do you remember your first time meeting her?
I well, I don't remember the first time, but I'll remember our first date. So
Okay.
we after rehearsal, we would always go down to Shakey's, was a place downtown. You get pizza and beer and just have a good time. And they showed silent movies all the time. Well, I went down there without a date. Sarah went there with a date, left that date and left with me. So she picked me. Okay, that's what Sarah did. so so she picked me up at the bar and then we left. Okay. So I do remember that. Okay. That was
That is a significant change. Yes.
yes, it was. It was. And then so I always tell her, I know, she passed away in January 2023. Hard, still hard. But I always told her if there was a discussion and a disagreement, and I would say, well, you picked me, okay? you picked me. All right. So, but it was great for us both to be there at Austin Peay. We both grew, we both learned a lot. It establishes such a strong foundation educationally for us. And then our oldest daughter, Jessie, she went to Austin Peay. And she got the education she needed. She decided to go to dental school, got accepted into 2 dental schools, and now she is a dentist for the Army. And so that her service to her country, but then that foundation that Austin Peay gave us.
That tree just keeps growing.
Oh yes, it was good. She said she didn't want to go to Austin Peay because I was there and Sarah was there, and she said she'd run into us all the time. We never saw her except, well, yes, when she needed money.
Yep.
Or she needed a ride somewhere. Okay, yeah. I was an ATM and I guess an Uber
An Uber driver.
Okay, that's what I did. But she got a great education there too. And matter of fact, her husband, he graduated from Austin Peay with 2 degrees. 2 degrees. Daniel Gregg, and he graduated from Austin Peay. So we have that family there.
Yes, that's excellent. So you and Sarah, you said you married soon afterwards, but you go to University of Florida.
Yes.
And you got your master's degree. Was the intent that you knew you wanted to teach in higher ed? What was the plan?
I when I think about that, I don't know. I had the plan all along was for me to go to law school. I mean, that was the plan.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to do. And that's really kind of why I did debate. But then when it came down to the LSAT, I was afraid. I was afraid to take it. So I didn't take it. I took the GRE, did well on the GRE. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, well, hey, did well on the GRE. When we go to grad school, and it's like, where would I go? Well, Joe Filippo went to the University of Florida. He got his PhD there. He said, Mike, you ought to look at the University of Florida. So Sarah and I both went to the University of Florida. We both got graduate assistantships. We lived on campus there in married student housing. Sarah got her MFA there and also earned her equity card. She got her equity card in acting there. I got my MA there, and then went to the University of Miami, which is an interesting thing. I had presented at a conference. I think it was the Florida Communication Association conference. I presented, and afterwards, this guy walked up to me and he said, "Hey, would you like a job?" Well, I didn't have a job. Yes, I would love a job. I'm about to be out of school. I have no employment. He said, I said, well, what school and when do I interview? He said, it's University of Miami. And he said, you don't have to interview. You get the job right now. So he offered me a contract right there. And so he said, do you have your resume? I said, yeah, I've got it right here. And I handed it to him. He looked at it and he said, Austin Peay? You went to Austin Peay? I said, yeah. He said, I graduated from Austin Peay.
No way.
I said, I never know you went there. And his name was Thompson Biggers. His mom was she was the postmistress on campus at Austin Peay. And so he hires me, not even knowing I went to Austin Peay. He just hires me because he had seen me coach debate and he had seen me do a presentation. So
that was your first job.
That was my first job at
Wow.
the University of Miami.
And you didn't even have to apply for
I
it.
didn't even apply. And you think about that now.
Yeah,
Think
it's
about
crazy.
all the processes we go through to hire someone.
Hmm.
And it's like, really? I got that first job. I didn't even interview.
Yeah. All the
So
things we deans make sure that people have to do.
I know
And
that's
it's
right.
ironic you were given.
Yeah, we couldn't do that now.
No, you
Okay.
couldn't.
It wouldn't happen now. But it was, and he had gone to Austin Peay. He had worked with John Griffin. Now, John Griffin was over the technical theater components there at Austin Peay. And John Griffin built race cars, and Thompson drove them.
Oh,
So it was an interesting
yeah.
connection there.
Okay.
Thompson now, he is at Mercer University. Matter of fact, a few weeks ago, I did a program review for Mercer, and it was the communication program, and I got to reconnect with Thompson there. It was an interesting little
It
world.
is.
You don't see all those what's the likelihood I'm going to meet someone at a conference that graduated from Austin Peay?
Yes. And that leads to your first job, and you get in academia. And how did you get back to Austin Peay?
Well, I finished this like 1 year, and then I got a call from Joe Filippo, and he said, "There's an opening, and would I like to apply for it?" But he didn't just give me the job. Thompson gave me the job.
Yes.
Okay. Joe required me to interview. So I came up and interviewed and offered me a position as an instructor. And so I came. And so we left. Now, Miami was interesting. We were there at a time when Castro emptied all the prisons and they all came to Miami. So it was an interesting time to be there. I came from a very small town of Greenbrier, Tennessee, and now you're in a big city, and
Hmm.
they have to close the city and with police and military because of the crime. So when we were looking for an opportunity, and we came and interviewed and got the job. I got the job. So I got the job to be in the communication program, and Sarah got the job to be head resident over Sevier and Blunt Hall. So Sarah, we had a place to live. Okay, we had a place to
Yes.
live. I had a job, and Sarah did some adjunct teaching and worked in theater there in Clarksville.
And
But
you were still just babies when you think
we
about it.
were. I think back on that, it's like, wow, they took a chance on me.
Hmm.
I didn't. I mean, when I look back, it's like, what an opportunity I was given. Um, and they didn't know how I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to do.
Sure. But you developed. I mean, that was an opportunity for you to grow.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize it. Of course, your growth also somehow connected to the department because at the time, I think that it was all the theater and communication, it was all tied up, right?
Yes, it was the Department of Speech and Theater at that time.
Okay.
And so, but yes, it was. It was. We were all working together, and it was a very collaborative effort, and it still is. Theater is a collaborative process. And so with Sarah being in theater and me working with her on that and being in the program, it was great. And I coached debate and forensics at Austin Peay. And I had theater students all the time because we didn't just do debate. I mean, we did prose and poetry and duet and solo acting and dramatic interp and humorous interp and so all of that was there together. I can remember that first year as a coach there 3 years. The first year we missed the state championship by 1 point.
Oh my.
One. Okay. The next year we won the state championship by 1 point, and the next year we we cleaned up. Okay, I mean, it was great. And we won 2 national titles there when we were there in speech and debate. Won one in prose and one in poetry.
And I'm sure as you're doing all that, you're building a program, a successful program, not with the intent like I've got this 20-year plan or 125-year plan of this is how we're going to do this, but you now with the ability to look back upon how things developed, I'm sure that you can see back how that all the things you were doing helped build that communication program into what it is now.
Yeah. And at that time, we didn't really know what we were doing.
Right.
We just started a radio station. Dr. David Von Pelko had come in to get the radio station started. And we were all young. We were so young. We didn't realize the risk that we were taking and that people were the trust people were putting in us. We were young. It's like, yeah, we can do that. Sure. That won't be that hard. And then yeah, it was harder than we thought. But after I was there at Austin Peay for 3 years, I knew in order to stay that I needed my PhD. And Sarah knew she needed hers. And so we left and went to LSU. And I got a graduate assistantship at LSU, and so did Sarah. And so LSU paid for us to go. I will tell you how we got to LSU, though. We went up to interview at Northwestern, and we went in December. And so Sarah and I were coming from Clarksville. We go up there. We go to open the door to get into the building at Northwestern, and the doors were frozen shut.
I was going to say, Chicago in December? Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I turned to Sarah and said, I think this is a sign from God that we are not to go here. And so we then went and interviewed at LSU. Okay. The doors were never frozen at LSU. Okay. Ever. And it was a great experience. Such wonderful people, such wonderful programs. Sarah got a great degree. I got a great degree. But the difference between Sarah's experience at LSU and my experience at LSU, when I graduated, I think the dean of the college gave me my diploma. When Sarah graduated, Jimmy Carter handed her the diploma. Okay.
How did that happen?
They were opening a new alumni building at LSU, and they had all the living presidents come. And Jimmy Carter was involved in that process of handing out the degrees.
Wow.
And so she got that, which was so exciting, just so exciting.
Yeah.
And after that, we came back to Austin Peay. Austin Peay gave me a little money. And when I say a little, they gave me a little money to help me with my tuition for that first semester. But then that meant I owed them for like 3 semesters. Okay. The math didn't work out very well, but I had a job. And so we came back. I came back I was an assistant professor. Sarah came back as an artist in residence.
Okay.
So that's how we got back. And we didn't live in the dorm that time. Okay. We actually found a house, and we lived in a house at that time. But it was, I think of very often I talk to others about our experiences when we lived in the dorm. That was quite interesting. Okay. Living in a women's dormitory, and the excitement and the energy and the things you had to, the rules you had to enforce.
Mm-hmm.
But when we came back, I was on a tenure track line. Sarah was not. But after a few years, they converted that artist in residence to a tenure track line. So Sarah got tenured there, and so did I.
And so the career begins, and the family begins as well.
Yes, we're there, and we came back in 1990, and Jessie, our oldest, she was born in 92. And then our second daughter was born in 95. Nice. And so I will say that a college environment and the freedom you have as a faculty member, because I was faculty. You can take time during the summer when your kids are not in school, and you can do things with them.
Yeah.
And that was great. Uh, I I love the college environment. Whether I was a faculty member or whether I served in an administrative role, it is such a wonderful place to be.
Well, you
I,
mentioned, I think, in your list of faculty that you worked with that you really admired and respected. It was a long list. I mean,
yes, I think back on uh, Dr. Reese Elliott was in communication, and when I became chair, it was about the time I'd been chair a while, not too long, and we started to go into online teaching. And so Dr. Ella Canervo and Dr.
no.
Reese Elliott, I think I pulled them into teaching on an online environment. But once they did it, they did a great job with it. But Dr. Reese Elliott, Dr. Ellen, and Dr. David Canervo, uh, wonderful people to work with. Dr. Richard Gildry,
Hmm.
I mean, shaped my life. What was interesting was I took a history class, history methods I took at Austin P. And then when I went to the University of Florida, I was taking a critical studies methods of research, I think. And the person that taught that was the one that taught Richard Gildry. And so I had someone that lineage was there. Dewey Browder,
Oh,
just one of Mickey Wadia. I mean, all of those people. I think back to how they shaped my life and how wonderful they were to work with. And um, I'm just a great place for me to be.
well, that's what
I
makes people
loved it.
stay here. That and
Yes.
and decide to make this their home.
Yes, and the opportunities Austin P provided me, because I got the opportunity to be a department chair, and didn't realize um, how that would develop, because at that time, because as department chair, then we developed an online communication program, a master's degree, and how that exploded, and how many students we had in that, and how creative we were in that we could take we were normally a 15-16 week semester, and said, I think we could do this in 8 weeks, and what that would do and how that would attract students, and that change that takes place. But we developed that graduate program, and then we got to do sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
Uh,
At a
I can
time that many places had not.
I know I mean I can remember it. Well, I got to work with John Mosley, and I can remember calling him one night and saying, John, what would it take for us to put basketball on television? What would it take? And he said, it takes a camera and a switcher. And so we got two cameras and a switcher together, and we went over to the Dunn Center and we started doing basketball for TV. The administration wasn't really clear on, they weren't certain we'd pull this off or not. So
Hmm.
what they did was they put us on the third floor of the Dunn Center, and they gave us a women's bathroom, is what they gave us. That's all we had. And they didn't know, they wouldn't even take the toilets out. They were in there, and our equipment had to fit between the door and the stall. When we had to put it in, we'd move it in and out. And then once they saw that, hey, I think this could actually go, they took the toilets out. Now, they did not remove the plumbing. They just put some plywood boxes over it, but we knew where the toilets were. And then we made a go of it. And we did basketball, and then we did baseball, and then we did football, and we put things on the big screen. I remember, and y'all have the technology access fee. Y'all probably still have that. I put in a proposal that we should put big screens in the Dunn Center. And the president said yes. What I didn't realize, though, was that would become my responsibility.
Yes, of
So I
course.
was so happy I didn't recommend that we have running water in all of the buildings. Then that would have become my responsibility. It's like, But then we had to put things on the big screen.
That's
And I
right.
can remember having a conversation with Coach Dave Luce, and he said, "Whatever you do, Mike, just don't put my picture up there all the time." And he's like, "Yes, sir. We will not do that. We will do something different." Uh, but the experience the opportunities we provided students,
Yes.
the learning to be camera operators, learning to interview, learning to be sideline people, learning to call the games. And what we also found was that this was very collaborative because we needed advertisement for the big screens. And I would work with art students in animation, and they would create some really neat things to put on because if I was going to be responsible for the content on the big screens, then I was going to make sure it was an academic program. And we put academics up there all the time, more than probably athletics wanted us to do.
I'm sure they,
A lot more than what athletics, but it was for our students. They are showcasing their students on the floor.
yes.
We're going to showcase our students on the screen. And then in the control room, you needed someone to control. You needed a director. And I was able to collaborate with theater. They had directors, they had stage managers, and that's what I needed in the control room.
Yes.
And so those students got those opportunities to put their work, showcase their work. Once the university saw that this was going to go, they then gave us a studio on the second floor of the Dunn Center. And we did what we did not realize was how we were shaping the landscape of Austin Peay.
Yes.
I mean, we got a cable channel. First, it was just on campus, and then it expanded to the community. We were a charter. Charter gave us a channel. And part of the reason Charter gave us that channel was because of what David Von Pelko did on election night coverage. So we would do election night coverage. We would be live, but we'd be from some studio in town. And they saw what we could do. They said, well, you want a channel? So they gave us a channel. And then we got on the Clarksville channel. We got on it, on their fiber. I didn't realize when they offered me that I would have to cover all of the city council meetings. I might have backed off had I known
Yes.
what covering city council would have meant. And then AT&T gave us UVerse, and we were able to be on a channel from Jackson, Tennessee, all the way to Cookeville, which
Wow.
expanded Austin Peay's footprint.
Yes.
We didn't realize how it would change, what it would do. And you don't realize it until you go somewhere that they don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make that investment in the students, in the program, in the university.
Right.
I can remember we were setting up for a football game, and we only had a certain number of cameras, and we only had a certain number of cables, and we're running cable. And the president of Austin Peay came to me, and I'm up on a ladder, and it's Friday afternoon, and it is hot. And he said, Mike, what are you doing? I said, we're setting up for the ball game. He said, you need to have somebody else do that. And I'm on the top of the ladder. I told him, I said, President, you have other people. We have just a limited number of people, okay? Mm-hmm. And if I'm not out here helping, this is not going to get done. And right. I think the students saw that we were able to invest in them. I remember we needed a vehicle. We needed a media van. And so I knew where we could get a 1967 Chevy van, okay? It was yellow with shag carpet in it, okay? But we got it, and we put our equipment in it, and we set it up by the football field, and we do our games out of it, and so we're doing neat things. And then the vice president of our finance came to me about 2 years later, and he said, Mike, you need a new van. And I knew we needed a new van because every time we drove this one, blue smoke blew out of the back of it, okay? And let me just say, we weren't in the 60s. This was, 2010 or so. And when he said new, I thought different. That's what I thought.
Yeah, not a brand new one.
Not brand new. Oh, no, he meant brand new. And Mitch got us a brand new van.
Nice.
We didn't know what to do. I mean, really, a new van, and
Oh,
we got to outfit it. We got to drive it around. And what that did was that let us do high school games.
yeah.
So we went to Cookeville High School. We went to Rossview. We went to
In the
Regis,
community.
and we let the kids from those schools be in our control room, and they ran the cameras, and they did instant replay. What that does is that lets those students there at all those schools say, look at the opportunities you get.
Mm-hmm.
You get to touch the equipment. There are other schools that have sports broadcasting programs, and you might get to touch the equipment one time in your 4 years. We're going to let you touch it 50 times your first year.
Right.
So that just opened those doors and that opportunity. And it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about those experiences and what Austin P provided for me there. So
Well, I laughed at all that story because those same things happened to me in Illinois. We had an RV, an old RV that also had the same carburetor problems, I think. So, and once a administrator saw that after a while, said, "We need to get you something new."
yes, that's what they did. Uh, yes, but that was when I think back though, and I know you asked me to think about some questions. One that you said, what was a highlight? Again, I've talked about sports, but I'll tell you, I think one of the most exciting things was we did this thing. It was called Friday Night Live,
Yes, I want to hear that.
and it was very much like Saturday Night Live. And so what we did is we took over the Traherne Theater, and students would during the week prep little vignettes, if you will. And we had a person that came out and did a cold opening with jokes and stories and whatever he would do. And then we would have students had prepared video commercials, and they would run those commercials. Then people would go out there and they would do scenes, if you will. And we would pack Traherne Theater at midnight.
Wow.
This was at midnight is when we would do this. And all these students would come in because you never knew what they would do. You would never. And there was, I'll just give one that I can remember. So they have this table set up with these little glasses on it. And the person would take a drink and say, I think they're on cocaine. And then take another drink and say, oh, I think they've been smoking marijuana. So that was their drug testing. It was these little, and it's like, okay, this is great, guys. Like, but it was so much fun to see the creativity that they
Yeah.
would bring in, because it would bring in video production, it would bring in directors,
That
it would bring in
collaboration.
actors, it would bring in people to write from English would come in and write, and it was such a fun thing for them to do, to see how much fun students could have if you just let them do it.
Yeah.
You just have to let them do it. I remember we were doing our video one classes, and problem was students didn't have cameras. And so it's like, okay, we're going to buy cameras. So we bought 20 cameras, and there was this discussion with faculty. They said, but we don't know what they're going to be taping. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think it's best for us not to know what they will be taping. Okay, but we need to put cameras in their hands so they know how to shoot video,
Mm-hmm.
so they can learn how to edit. And then the concern was, well, they may break them. Yeah, they may, but the experience that we're going to be providing them is so much more valuable than
That's right.
if they break a camera or not. We can replace that camera, but that experience that they're getting, we have to let them have that experience.
That's right. You have to I agree with you 100%. That equipment can be replaced, but we're never going to be able to. They get this opportunity. That's what we're here for.
And that's what sets us apart. The one question we always have to answer is why? Why Austin P? Why? And I'll say communication and theater, they were very good about answering that why question to encourage students to come and to grow those programs and to make a difference. That's what they were able to do.
And we're just going to keep on that why question just for a moment here, Mike, because I think that after years of experience. I think we're both kind of in the same boat here. Every once in a while, it becomes clearer as to why. Can you, because it's so, you've touched so many students, you've impacted. I've talked to lots of alums that have said you were a mentor, you were a great professor, you're a great friend. But I want you to tell people why you have done all these things over the years.
Well, I think the first part of that is I wanted to make a difference. That's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to make a difference for our students. I can remember I went to a SEJC conference. And while we were at SEJC, there was a room there that you could go in and jobs were there. And I saw that there were jobs for reporters were at one level, but jobs for reporters that knew HTML were at another. Well, we weren't teaching our students HTML. And of course, the web is getting started, and HTML is that language. Well, there was no one at Austin Peay teaching HTML. So I learned HTML for our students to give our students those opportunities because I did not want our students to be penalized because we weren't doing something that everybody else was doing. And so I learned HTML and they learned HTML and it gave them those job opportunities. But what I wanted to do was make a difference there. And I wanted to be the difference that would impact those students and let them expand their horizon, if you will. That's what we were. But I give that as an example to say that I want to make a difference. And if I'm not making a difference, then I don't need to continue doing this job or whatever my job is. I love those interactions with students. And I think you talked to Natalie Kilgore. Well, one of them, when I wasn't coaching debate, I didn't have that interaction with students that I was accustomed to. So there was a collaborative effort between academics and student affairs to do what was called Capsule Magazine. And it was a full color magazine. We produced it twice, once in the fall, once in the spring, student stories, student layout, student photography. And we didn't even have a name for it. We just knew we were doing a magazine. And so we're kind of working on our magazine. We're trying to figure out what the name of it is. And someone says, well, why don't we make it Capsule? And it was so wonderful. And I thought, why didn't we already have Capsule in any name that we have? Because we have APSU in the title. It was like, this is so perfect. This is perfect. But we did Capsule Magazine. It was collaborative. We had business students involved. We had English students involved. We had psychology students involved, art students, communication students, all putting that together. But what it did was it made a difference for the university. I can remember one of the first stories was about 107.5. Jim and I can't think of the other DJ's name, but they were on 107.5 for a very long time, and then they were off. And then they got picked up by another radio station just a few months ago. And I thought, I can remember when they started. We did a story on them way back.
Yeah.
But I see that impact that it had, that Capsule Magazine had, and I look back and it just gave students opportunities.
Yeah.
So everything, whether it's in video or whether it was in our graduate program or whether it was in broadcasting or whatever it was, whether it was in theater, give them an opportunity and to make a difference.
Yeah.
But also, it's not just students. I did it because I wanted to make a difference for faculty. I think back on my career, and the one thing that I wish I had done more was travel to conferences. Is what I wish I had done. And I think back, it's like, why didn't I? Well, one, I've got a family, but two, really the support for faculty travel just wasn't there.
Right. And
very often, and you've probably experienced it, when budget cuts come around, kind of the first thing that goes is travel. It
Right.
just, that's easy. Okay. It doesn't hurt. There's no there are no jobs involved. But what it does hurt is when you don't get to go, you don't get to share those ideas. And when I think about Austin P, I think about those faculty members that I was part of the hiring process and how that changed their life. I think of Tracy Sharon, and it's like, wow, that's Tracy Nichols, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew her as Tracy Sharon when I was in school. But she, what a change and what an impact she had at Austin P. And
Oh,
I can
yeah.
remember it was like, I told Tracy, I said, you know what would be neat is if we did a study abroad and you took students to London and we could do some conflict negotiation or something. I don't know what the course would be because I had gotten the opportunity. Austin P gave me the opportunity to teach in London. Well, I saw what it did to my life. I thought, Tracy, and then Tracy developed that. And I remember the first time we sent students there, it was like, what a wonderful experience.
Yes.
And for her, but also for our students. Um, just it's just that. And I think of that. I think of giving those students opportunities and faculty. I remember bringing in Rob Barron because I saw that we were missing rhetorical criticism, and we needed that component within our program. Um, I guess if I was going to look back and tell students what I would encourage them to do or faculty, I'd encourage them to travel. I would encourage students to do study abroad. There are opportunities for them to do that, and there's support for students to do that, but go. I remember when I took a group of students to London, I told them, I said, this will change your life.
Yes.
And while we were there, a young lady got married. I didn't realize it was going to change her life that much. Okay. I
But
didn't
shouldn't
know,
have to do that.
but it changed her life. But those experiences to see how other people think and talk and interact and
Opens to the
uh,
world to them.
yes, it is so different for them. Uh, I'll say I loved my time at Austin P. I loved my time as a faculty member, as serving as department chair, serving in the administration as interim dean for grad studies. I was honored to receive the uh, National Alumni, Professor Award. That was so touching for me to do that.
Mm.
Uh, when I graduated from Austin P, I had the opportunity to speak before for the graduating class. And I always, after that, and when I became a faculty member, I thought, wow, would it be wonderful to be able to give a commencement speech? And then Austin P gave me that opportunity to give a commencement speech.
Wow.
Um,
What a gift.
it was just things that, when you ask me, how did I get to where I am? Honestly, I don't know how I got into higher ed, but I am so glad I did.
Yeah. Well, it's been such a joy talking with you, Mike. I tell you, it's I have told you many times, I feel like you and I have led parallel lives, and I also feel very blessed as well. And it's been a joy to be able to share your story on today's podcast.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I thank everyone at Austin P for supporting me and for being such a collaborative unit uh, and family there. So thank you very much.
And thanks to all our listeners and viewers out there for checking out the podcast. We hope you will continue to do so as we profile some of the outstanding alumni we have here in the College of Arts and Letters at Austin Peay State University. So till next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.